Hello students, welcome to Srimati Pushpa Shamanuru Mahalingappa PU College. This is Zamir Ahmed, Faculty of Zoology, and in today's class we are going to start a new chapter in the unit Human Physiology. Okay, so as you guys know, Human Physiology is a very important unit because half of the weightage in zoology is there in Human Physiology, isn't it? Now first of all we have to understand what do you mean by physiology. How did life start, isn't it? So as you guys know, life started as a unicellular organism. This single cell used to perform everything related to the survival. Let's say respiration, let's say digestion, anything. This single cell used to perform all the functions. What happened because of evolution? This led to formation of multicellular organisms. Now let's say these are the multicellular organisms. Okay, so now I can call this as a tissue. Now tissue level organization was formed, wherein basically what happened, there was something called as a division of labor. They will discuss among themselves, they will decide among themselves, okay, I will be performing digestion, you will be performing respiration. So as soon as this tissue level organization was formed, there was something called as a division of labor. There was something called as division of labor. Now imagine, will a single cell performing all the functions will be more efficient, or many type of cells performing their specific designated function will be more efficient? This will be more efficient. After the tissues, what happened because of evolution? It led to organ level organization. There were specific organs which were performing specific function. Eventually this also led to organ system level organization. This eventually lead to what organization? Organ system level organization. For example, as we are discussing about digestion and absorption, let's see, in digestive system, many organs will, together perform this function of digestion. For example, tongue is a part of digestive system. Teeth are a part of digestive system. Similarly, our alimentary canal is a part of digestive system. Now what do you mean by this alimentary canal? The structure which extends from mouth till anus, that is called as the alimentary canal. Along with that, even you can say liver, pancreas, and many more glands which we will be studying later on, together started perform this function of digestion. Okay, so organs together performing all this function or together performing a similar function will be called as a system. So in specific chapter in human physiology, we will be talking about different kinds of system. Here we are talking about digestive system. Eventually organ systems make up the organism. They make up the organism. This is the basic of life, how it evolved and how it became better and better. I hope you have understood this. Now let us directly come to the chapter discussion, that is, what do you mean by digestion and what do you mean by absorption? Okay then, now let us start our discussion about digestion and absorption. First of all, let us see what do you mean by digestion. What do you mean by digestion? So digestion is a process of breakdown of complex biomacromolecules. Let us discuss that. What do you mean by this? This is nothing but breakdown of complex macromolecules. Now again there is a question, what do you mean by biomacromolecules? Macro means large. Okay, understand, sir, now tinta irodu proteins, now tinta irodu fats. Why do we need to break down fats? Why do we need to break down proteins? Let's take an example of proteins. As you have studied in 10th standard, proteins are made up of individual units or monomers which are called as amino acids, isn't it? So these amino acids will form because of the hydrolysis of proteins. Once we get the amino acids, they are absorbable. You can't absorb proteins into your bloodstream because they are too big. That is the reason why digestion is being performed. So digestion is a process which will break down complex biomacromolecules into simpler absorbable micromolecules. We will come to the details of these things later. Okay, for your convenience I have told you proteins will be broken down into amino acids. If you consider proteins as macromolecules, then amino acids will be the micromolecules. Clear about this? Absorbable. This point also you should remember. This is because this is the reason why digestion is being performed, because those are not absorbable. Now what is the reason behind digestion? This is because we are eating food. Now why do we need food? Because food has something which is important for us called as nutrients. We need nutrients to survive, to perform a process called as metabolism. All the energy required for metabolism will be coming from the nutrients which we get from food. Once we come to the discussion of what do you mean by these nutrients which provide basically energy, there are two types of nutrients in this case. First type of nutrients will be called as macronutrients. Second type of nutrients will be called as micronutrients. Macronutrients and micronutrients. Now you might ask me, sir, macronutrients andre enu, micronutrients andre enu? Macronutrients are the nutrients which produce energy. What do? They produce energy. Whereas micronutrients do not produce energy. They do not produce any energy on hydrolysis. Clear about this? So macronutrients are also called as, these are also called as protective principle, proximate principles of food. Micronutrients are also called as protective principles of food. These are the other names for the macro as well as the micronutrients. Why macronutrients are producing energy? Because micronutrients are not producing energy. Examples for macronutrients, if you want to take, you can take the example of carbohydrates, you can take the example of fats, you can take the example of proteins. These all constitute in producing energy, whereas micronutrients, they don't. For example, you can take water. Sir, why water is important? To maintain the osmotic balance of the body. Without water, there won't be any reaction in your body. So water is very important. It prevents dehydration. Then you can take minerals. About 20 minerals are required for the survival of an organism. Even though they don't produce energy, if these minerals are not there, then they can cause some abnormality in the individual. So minerals are also essential, and then vitamins. About 21 vitamins are required. About 21 vitamins are required in this case. Okay, so these are some basics about the nutrition. So nutrients are divided into two types, micro as well as macronutrients, based upon their production of energy. Clear about this? So this is the introductory part. Now let us directly get into the digestive system. Okay, and you also got to know what do you mean by absorption. They can absorb only if they are biomicromolecules, smaller components of the food. Clear about this? Okay. Now let us start our discussion about the digestive system. Before entering into the human digestive system, let us see the different kinds of digestive system which we know of as in animal kingdom. So digestive system can be of two types. First type of digestive system, it is called as incomplete digestive system. Second type of digestive system is called as complete digestive system. Now incomplete digestive system, as you already know from animal kingdom, it has only one opening. If this is the organism, it has only this one opening. This opening will help in both ingestion as well as egestion. Both ingestion as well as egestion will be performed by a common opening. This is incomplete. Where do you see incomplete digestive system? Coelenterata, Ctenophora, Platyhelminthes. From Aschelminthes, you start seeing a complete digestive system where there will be two openings. One will be used for ingestion, another one will be used for egestion. This opening is called as a mouth. This opening is called as anus. Okay, understand the difference between egestion and excretion. Egestion is the removal of undigested food. You ate food, whatever is going out of the anus, you couldn't digest it. That is the reason why it is being egested. So this is called as egestion. Excretion will occur in the kidneys, wherein the nitrogenous waste will be removed from the blood. Okay, so that is the difference between excretion and egestion. Now when we come to the human digestive system, so in case of human digestive system, for our convenience, let us divide it into two parts. We will divide human digestive system for our convenience into two parts we will be studying. First part we will call it as the alimentary canal. That is the canal existing between mouth and anus. And then we will talk about the digestive glands, or even you can say the associated glands. Now, what are the structures which come under alimentary canal? It is not only mouth and anus, there are many more. So the first part which you come across is obviously mouth. Mouth will lead to the cavity which is called as buccal cavity. Then it will lead to something called as pharynx. From pharynx it will go to esophagus. We are talking about food here, right? So food will go to the esophagus. From esophagus it will go to stomach. From stomach it will go to intestine. Intestine is of two parts, small and large, and eventually through anus the food will be digested out. So this is your alimentary canal. Whereas when you come to the digestive gland, in mouth you can see salivary glands. In stomach, you can see the cellular lining of the stomach is modified for secretion. That will be called as digestive glands. Or to be more precise, you can say they are gastric glands. Gastric glands. Then you can see presence of intestinal glands, the lining of the intestine. Then we can see presence of liver, pancreas. So these are the associated glands which are helping in digestion. So in today's class we are going to start our discussion of alimentary canal. In the future classes we will be seeing what do the digestive glands do. Okay. Now let us start our discussion about alimentary canal. As we discussed, alimentary canal, the first structure in alimentary canal will be called as, mouth. Okay, so the first structure which we are going to talk about in alimentary canal is mouth. Now if I ask you define mouth, how will you define mouth? It is nothing but the slit present between the lips. It is the slit present between the lips. So if you can see here clearly, it is very visible. This is a slit or a cut which is present between the lips. So this structure will be called as mouth. And here you can see lips will be attached to the gums. Lips will be attached to the gums. Let's say these are your gums. So to your gums, lips will be attached with the help of something called as frenulum, labial frenulum. Don't get confused between the lingual and labial frenulum. Lingual frenulum is the tongue, that we'll discuss later. But this is the labial frenulum which connects the lips to the gum. So this is called as your mouth. This mouth will lead to the next structure in your alimentary canal, that is referred to as your buccal cavity. Buccal cavity can also be called as oral cavity. Buccal cavity or oral cavity. Now, as we have already discussed about our mouth, now let us talk about the lips. So these are your lips, this is the mouth. The mouth will lead to this structure, this is called as buccal cavity. Now what is the buccal cavity made up of? You know that sideways it is surrounded by lips. There will be a floor, and there will be a roof. So the roof of the buccal cavity is made up of something called as the palate. This is called as palate. Two types of palate will be there. One, the anterior one will be called as hard palate. This will be called as soft palate. Why is it called as hard palate? Because of these projections. If you try touching your tongue to your oral roof, you can see these projections which are called as rugae. Same rugae will be present in stomach. Folds on the hard palate as well as the stomach, both will be called as rugae. So hard plus soft palate will form your oral roof. The hanging part from the soft palate is called as uvula. It is called as uvula. What does the uvula do? Whatever food you eat, that is prevented from entering into the nasal cavity by presence of uvula. So uvula will shut close once you swallow the food. The floor of the buccal cavity is made up of another very interesting organ, a muscular organ. This muscular organ, it is called as the tongue. About the tongue we will be talking in some time. Okay, so this is called as the tongue. Now this tongue is attached to the floor with the help of what? I told you before also. This will be called as frenulum. What frenulum now? This will be called as the lingual frenulum. This will be called as lingual frenulum. Okay, so the food can easily enter into the next part, which will be called as the pharynx. About pharynx we will be talking here itself. Okay, so the next region which we will be talking, it is called as pharynx. So the next region which we will be talking about is, it will be called as pharynx. So pharynx is again divided into three parts. This part will be called as nasopharynx, where you can clearly see nasal chamber is opening. This chamber, this region, it will be called as oropharynx, where the mouth is opening. This region will be called as laryngopharynx. This will be called as laryngopharynx because the larynx is present there. These three regions together make up the pharynx. Okay, so nasopharynx where the nasal chamber opens, oropharynx where the oral chamber or the oral cavity opens. This is called as the laryngopharynx. Now, this is a very important point. Many students get confused here. Okay, you can clearly see there are two tubes here. In your pharynx, there are two tubes. The ventral tube, always remember, what do you mean by ventral? Venter means belly. So the belly side will always be ventral and this will be dorsal. So the ventral tube which is present here, which has incomplete cartilaginous rings, this structure will be called as trachea, which is nothing but what? Your windpipe. Okay, so the opening of trachea is called as glottis. Now, if you eat food, why your food is not going into the trachea? Because of presence of a flap-like structure here. A flap-like structure here. This flap-like structure will be called as epiglottis. This will be called as Epiglottis. Epi means upon, glottis means the opening of the trachea. So this prevents the entry of food into the trachea. Uvula prevents the entry of food into the nasal chamber. Behind, dorsally, you can see presence of the next structure which we'll be talking later on, that is called as the esophagus. Esophagus is nothing but your food pipe. The opening of esophagus will be called as gullet. This will be called as gullet. Okay, I hope the buccal cavity and the pharynx region, it is very clear to you guys. In the nasal chamber also you can see few openings, a pair of openings which are of the auditory tubes or the eustachian tubes connecting the middle ear with that of the pharynx. Okay, so this is about your oral cavity. Now, as we were discussing about the pharynx, we also have to discuss about a concept or a hypothetical structure called as Waldeyer's ring. It is called as Waldeyer's ring. What do you mean by Waldeyer's ring? It is a hypothetical circular ring-like structure in which your lymphatic system is arranged or your tonsils are arranged. Here you can clearly see this is a hypothetical ring. At the roof of the palate, or you can say near the nasopharynx, here a group of tonsils which are called as palatine tonsils are present. These are called as palatine tonsils. Just near the opening, let's say these are the openings of your auditory tubes. Just near that you can see the second pair of tonsils. These tonsils, I'll tell you what tonsils are. These tonsils are referred to as tubal tonsils. Okay, and on the sideways, I'm so sorry, these are not palatine tonsils, these will be pharyngeal tonsils. And these will be your palatine tonsils. These are called as palatine tonsils. Now you might be noticing how in a circular way they are arranged. So hypothetical, imaginary it is. Okay. Now just on the tongue, about the tongue we are going to start in some time. On the tongue, the posterior part of the tongue will have these projections at the base of the tongue. These tonsils will be called as lingual tonsils. These tonsils will be called as what? Lingual tonsils. So here in this case, pharyngeal tonsils might get swelled up sometimes. That condition will be called as adenoids. Because of viral infection of the palatine tonsils, that condition will be called as mumps. That will be called as mumps. Inflammation of tonsils or inflammation of tonsils is basically called as tonsillitis. It is called as tonsillitis. Dekho, you have to understand one thing. What is that? Yelladru agli. If the suffix, the ending, it is itis, that means inflammation. Clear? So inflammation of tonsils will be called as tonsillitis. Now what are these tonsils? These tonsils basically are a part of lymphatic system. Okay, the soldiers of our body, the immune system, that is the lymphatic system. Now if you are eating anything and if it has pathogens, that will be detected by these tonsils. Okay, so they are a part of lymphatic system. They are arranged in a hypothetical ring-like structure. They are arranged in a hypothetical ring-like structure. Now we will go back and we will see in the oral cavity there were two more structures, teeth and tongue. About them clearly we will be discussing. Now let us start our discussion about teeth as well as tongue. First let us start the discussion about teeth. Now what do you mean by teeth? Teeth basically are masticatory structures. So they are masticatory structures. Now what do you mean by mastication? Chewing, wherein food will be broken down into smaller pieces. That will be called as mastication. Okay, so that will be done by the teeth. Now if you take teeth, basically the structure of teeth, In humans, it basically looks something like this. First we are talking about the external structure, then we will be talking about the transverse section. So clearly you can see here, the part of the teeth which are exposed, this is called as the crown of the teeth. The part of the teeth wherein they are embedded in the gum, what is this? This will be called as the gum. If you want a scientific tougher word, it is called as gingiva. Okay, so this is the neck part where it is embedded, and the part wherein it is embedded in the bone, this will be called as root. This will be called as root. This is just an external structure. But when you go to the transverse section, and if you guys see the internal structure of teeth, let us discuss that as well here. So clearly you can see the outermost covering of a teeth is very white glistering color, very shining color. So this white structure is not one of the, but the hardest substance in your body. This is the hardest substance in your body. This is called as enamel. This is called as enamel. I'll come back to the enamel later on. So as I told you, enamel. Below the enamel, you can see another region present obviously beneath the enamel. This portion will be called as dentine. This portion will be called as what? Dentine. Below the dentine or beneath the dentine, you can clearly see there is this cavity which will be called as pulp cavity. It will be called as pulp cavity. Okay, so in the pulp cavity, what will be there? Through the root, the blood vessels, the nerves will all be coming into this pulp cavity. That is why if you have a cavity in your teeth, you feel the pain. Okay, why do you feel the pain? Because the nerves get the nerves get irritated. So that pain sensation is because of activation of the nerves present in the pulp cavity, and there will be many things here, the connective tissue and stuff. Okay, if you see here, they are attached to the bone. They are attached to the bone. Okay, with the help of few ligaments and fibers. That is not important for you guys. Now if you see this enamel is produced by group of cells called as ameloblast. Group of cells which are called as ameloblast. How will you remember enamel secreted by amyle? Here also you can say amyle. Okay, so ameloblasts, and these are ectodermal in origin. These are ectodermal in origin. Whereas when you come to dentine is produced by cells which are called as odontoblast. So how will you relate this? Odonto, D-O-N, right? Similar sounding to dentine. Speciality is that this is ectodermal in origin and this is mesodermal in origin. That means teeth are structures which are dual in origin. Teeth are structures which are dual in origin. Now, if this structure is clear to you guys, let us move on to the classification of teeth. Based on different parameters, we classify teeth. Okay. Now, let us start the classification of teeth. So, in the classification of teeth, as I told you, it is based on different parameters. What are those parameters? First parameter, it is based on persistence. Based on persistence. Now what do you mean by persistence? How long will it be present? The first kind of teeth based on persistence, they are called as temporary teeth or milk teeth or deciduous teeth. That means they will eventually fall off. So these are the first kind of teeth which will be there. In humans, how many milk teeth will be there? About 20 in number. What are those teeth? We will discuss later on. Okay, so temporary teeth, milk teeth, deciduous teeth, they are 20 in number in humans. We are talking about human digestive system. So obviously we will talk about humans. So these are the temporary teeth. Second type of teeth are called as permanent teeth. So these are called as permanent teeth. And how many they will be in number? They will be 32 in number. Obviously in case of humans. Obviously in case of humans. So this is the first type of classification based on persistence. Now the second type of classification based on attachment. Based on attachment. Now, based on attachment, there are of three types. What are those three types? First type of teeth are called as acrodont teeth. Now, what do you mean by acrodont teeth? Let's say this is the jawbone. This is the jawbone. I label it here, jawbone. Acrodont teeth will be just attached onto the jawbone like this. So this will be the teeth. This is called as acrodont teeth. Okay. Next type of teeth are called as pleurodont teeth. Now in pleurodont teeth, the teeth will be attached onto the lateral side like this. On the pleurodont type of teeth, you can see lateral side of the jawbone. On behind the jawbone, they will be attached like this. Such kind of teeth will be called as pleurodont teeth. Next type of teeth based on attachment are called as thecodont. Now how do the thecodont type of teeth look? This is how in humans it is present. In thecodont kind of teeth, it is present in the jaw socket. They are embedded in the bony socket. Even in crocodiles it is similar. So it is embedded in the jaw socket. You can even call it as alveoli. Okay. So in the jaw socket, if the teeth are there, thecodont. Example for this you can take humans and crocodile. As we are only interested in humans, isn't it? When I tell you humans have thecodont teeth, you should understand this. Humans will have both temporary teeth for some time, that will be 20, then permanent teeth, that will be 32. When we will be discussing that characters later on, you should know these scientific terms. Okay, so this is based on persistence, that is based on attachment. The third type of classification, it is based on similarity. The third type of classification based on similarity. Now what do you mean by similarity? If the teeth are all similar functionally as well as structurally, then they will be called as homodont teeth. Do humans have homodont teeth? No. Homo means what? Same. Okay. For example, you can take in case of sharks. In case of lizards, they will have homodont type of teeth. Whereas the second type of teeth based on similarity are called as heterodont. What do you mean by hetero here? Hetero will obviously mean different. So example, humans. Humans have a different kind of teeth. What are those different kind of teeth? We will be discussing in the later on time. Okay. So this is about the third type of classification based on similarity. The fourth type of classification, it is based on appearance. It is based on appearance. Appearance is not the sense how will they look. Appearance means how many times will they appear in life. So fourth type of classification based on appearance. If they appear only once in a lifetime, they will be called as monophyodont. Monophyodont teeth appear once in lifetime. Second type of teeth, diphyodont. As the name suggests, di, this means 2 times. They appear 2 times in life. In us, few will be monophyodont, few will be diphyodont. We'll come back to that later. Next, you can see polyphyodont teeth. So in polyphyodont, they appear many times. Example, in case of shark, as many times the teeth falls, it will keep on reappearing. So these are the types of classification, and these are the types of teeth present. Okay, so we have discussed 4 types. Now let us talk about types of teeth in case of humans. Types of teeth in case of humans. So the first kind of teeth are called as incisors. Second type of teeth are called as canines. Third type of teeth are called as premolars. Fourth type of teeth are called as molars. So how will we represent it? Incisors are represented by I, canines are represented by C, premolars are represented by P, M, and molars are represented by M. So these are the different kinds of teeth. When you come to human teeth, characters of human teeth, if I ask you, human teeth are acrodont, human teeth are heterodont. These are the 2 common characters for all of them. They are embedded in the jaw socket. I'm so sorry. They are thecodont. They are embedded in the jaw socket. Heterodont, they are different. But when you come to incisors, canines, first and second molars. Okay, incisors, canines, first and second molars. These guys are diphyodont. These are diphyodont. That means they appear how many times? 2 times in our life. Whereas premolars and third molars, they appear only once in lifetime. So they will be called as monophyodont. I'll explain this to you again when we are talking about the structure of teeth in detail. Now what we will do, we will take the structure of mouth again. Right? Here we will be dividing for our convenience. What I will do is, I will divide the mouth into 4 quadrants. Upper right, upper left, lower left, and lower right. So each of the quadrants have different kinds of teeth. So here you can see the first 2, which you can see here. The first 2 kind of teeth, here clearly these are called as incisors. They are called as incisors. How many in one quadrant? 2. Then you can clearly see the next type of teeth, which is a little pointy. For your convenience, for your better understanding, I am drawing this. This is called as canines. How many in one quadrant? 1. We are talking in case of adults. We are talking in case of adults. So these are incisors, these are canines. After canines, you can see presence of 2 premolars. These are premolars. How many in number? 2. Last but not the least type of teeth are your molars. How many in number? 3. The third molar, which you can see here, this one, the third molar, this is called your wisdom teeth, which creates a lot of trouble when it is coming out. So these are in one quadrant. That is how we generate our dental formula. In adults, dental formula, first we will talk in case of adults. How many were there in these quadrants? Generally, dental formula is represented by ICPM, and molars into 2. Okay, so if you basically make that, you can clearly see 2102 by 2102 into 2 equals to 32 teeth in adults. Sir, this is not math. You have to understand one quadrant plus one quadrant, upper, lower. So I'm so sorry, this is in case of children. So here you can make it 2123 by 2123. Okay, now it is clear. So 2 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolars, 3 molars in case of adults. So 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 2, 5, 5 plus 3, 8. 8 in one quadrant, 8 in this quadrant, 8 plus 8, 16 into 2, obviously you will get 32 teeth in case of adult. So this is a very important point, dental formula in case of adults. Whereas when you come to children, I told you what are monophyodont, which will be absent. There will not be any premolars, there will not be third molar. So if the dental formula in children, it will become 2102 by 2102 into 2. That will be equal to 20. What will be absent? These premolars will be absent and the last molar will be absent. So each quadrant will have only 5. 5 plus 5, 10. 10 into 2, 20. So the dental formula, the number of teeth in case of children, that will be 20. Okay, so this is about teeth. In the next class, we will be talking about the tongue and the coming structures which are there in your alimentary class. Thank you so much.